The rain hammered the windows of Ethan Price's office, each drop a steady, dull heartbeat against the glass. The city skyline beyond the glass was a blur of neon and fog, but all he saw was the glow of betrayal on his phone's screen. He scrolled through the texts for the 100th time, each word a dagger in his chest. Michael, I can't stop thinking about last night. Rachel, neither can I. It was dangerous, but thrilling. I needed it. His mouth went dry. He read them again, as if the meaning might change. But the words stayed the same. They were real. A single tear welled in his eye. He wiped it away quickly, as if even that small show of weakness would give them more power. His best friend. His wife. Two people he loved more than anything. He clenched his fists until his knuckles cracked. The phone slipped from his grip, landing with a dull thud on the carpet. Ethan leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling. His mind was a storm. Memories of laughter, of trust, now twisted and poisonous. He could still hear Michael's laugh, see the way Rachel's eyes would light up when he walked into a room. How could they? How could they destroy everything so easily? His chest tightened. He wanted to scream, to break something, but he forced himself to stay still. If he gave in to rage now, he'd never stop. Ethan found himself thinking back to college days with Michael. They'd been inseparable, brothers in all but blood. They'd dreamed of taking on the world together. And Rachel, he'd met her at Michael's birthday party. Her laughter had been the brightest sound in the room. Michael had introduced them, grinning like a proud matchmaker. Ethan remembered their wedding day, Rachel's hand trembling in his. Michael had stood beside him as best man, a hand on his shoulder, promising to always have his back. I'll always be here for you, Ethan. I know, Ethan had said. He laughed bitterly now at the memory. What a fool he'd been. Vanessa Blake was the first to notice Ethan's change in demeanor. She approached him in the break room, her sharp green eyes studying him. You okay? She asked, voice low. He forced a smile. Just tired. Long night. She hesitated. If there's anything you need to talk about, did you know? He cut in suddenly. Her eyes widened, then flickered away. That was all the answer he needed. You knew, he said, voice cold. Ethan, I don't, he snapped. Don't lie to me. Not now. Vanessa looked down. I didn't want to get involved. It's not my business, it was my life, he said quietly. You let me stand in the dark while they tore it apart. She reached for his arm, but he pulled away. I'm sorry, she whispered. I thought you'd find out eventually. I didn't want to be the one, you were the one, he said, and walked away. The truth was a weight on his chest, a constant ache. In the silence of his apartment, he heard the echoes of their laughter, Rachel's soft giggle, Michael's booming chuckle. He saw them together in his mind, every touch, every stolen glance he'd been too blind to notice. He sat in the dark, the only light coming from the city outside. He felt like a ghost in his own life, drifting through memories that no longer belonged to him. They lied. They chose each other over me. The thought burned. He could feel it in his veins. A slow, searing rage that refused to die. But beneath it all was a question, what now? He couldn't just pretend. He wouldn't. If they wanted to tear his life apart, he would make them see what they'd done. He waited for Rachel in the kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator the only sound. She came in late, her hair damp from the rain. Ethan, she said, surprised. You're home early. He held up the phone. We need to talk. Her face went pale. She reached for the phone, but he pulled it back. Don't, he said. Don't touch it. Ethan, tell me the truth, he said, his voice steady. How long? She swallowed hard. It was a mistake. Just once. I swear. He laughed, a hollow, humorless sound. A mistake? One night doesn't make a mistake, Rachel. Tears welled in her eyes. I love you. I do. I don't know why it happened. Yes, you do, he said. You wanted it. Don't lie to me now. She sank into a chair, sobbing. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. He stood over her, every part of him screaming to forgive, to hold her. But he couldn't. Not now. I trusted you, he said quietly. Both of you. And you chose to break that. I didn't mean to, but you did, he said, turning away. And now you'll see what betrayal costs. Ethan stared at the mirror, the reflection of a man he barely recognized staring back. Dark circles framed his eyes, the weight of sleepless nights and endless questions. His mind replayed every conversation, every touch, every shared joke with Michael and Rachel. Each memory was a shard of glass slicing deeper into his soul. At work, he forced himself to smile, to nod politely at Vanessa's attempts at small talk. He could see the guilt in her eyes, the flicker of fear when he looked at her too long. Good. She should be afraid. Ethan's work suffered. He missed deadlines, forgot meetings. His colleagues whispered, glancing his way with pity or curiosity. But he didn't care. Their pity was nothing compared to the storm inside him. One afternoon, his boss, Charles Davis, called him into his office. Charles was a man of power and polished words, his silver hair and tailored suit giving him an air of authority. Ethan, he said, steepling his fingers. You've been distracted lately. Ethan forced a smile. Just some personal issues. I'm handling it. Charles studied him. I hope so. You're one of my best attorneys. But if you're not focused, the entire team suffers. Ethan's jaw tightened. I understand. Good, Charles said, leaning back. Because there's a lot riding on this new case. And I can't afford any mistakes. Ethan nodded, but inside, he seethed. Charles had no idea what mistakes had already been made. Late one night, Ethan sat in his darkened office, the glow of his computer screen casting harsh shadows on his face. He opened Vanessa's personnel file, scrolling through her accomplishments, her connections. He found nothing, and yet everything. Small details, a pattern of ambition and self-preservation. He confronted her the next morning. You knew. You let it happen. Vanessa flinched. Ethan, please. I didn't want to get involved, you were already involved, he said coldly. You saw everything. And you said nothing because it benefited you. Her lips parted in protest, but she couldn't deny it. Ethan could see the truth in her silence. You're no better than them, he said. Maybe worse. Vanessa's eyes glistened. I'm sorry. He turned away. Save your apologies. I don't want them. Ethan perfected the mask. At work, he was calm and focused. He attended meetings, offered insights, and smiled at the right times. But underneath, every moment was a rehearsal for the revenge he was planning. He gathered evidence, emails, phone records, financial documents. Michael and Vanessa were careless, their greed and arrogance blinding them. They thought they could have it all, the affair, the promotions, the respect. But Ethan saw everything now. And he would use it all. At night, he lay awake, the taste of betrayal bitter on his tongue. He thought of Rachel's tear-streaked face, of Michael's smug smile. He thought of Vanessa's quiet complicity. And he promised himself, they would all pay. Rachel tried to reach out to him, texting late at night, her messages full of apologies and half-truths. Please, Ethan. Let me explain. I love you. It was a mistake. He ignored them at first, but one night, he answered her call. Her voice cracked. Ethan, please. I need to see you. Why? He asked, his voice low. So you can lie to my face again? I'm sorry, she sobbed. I didn't want to hurt you, but you did, he said. And now you're sorry because you're afraid. Not because you love me. Silence. Then a whisper, maybe you're right. He closed his eyes, the final thread snapping in his chest. I hope he was worth it, Rachel. He wasn't, she said, her voice trembling. He never was. He hung up. The next morning, Ethan woke with a clarity he hadn't felt in weeks. His mind was a razor's edge, his purpose singular. He laid out his plan like a chessboard, every piece in place. He would expose Michael's shady business dealings, the way he had embezzled funds to fuel his ambitions. He would reveal Vanessa's role in the scheme, her silence bought with promises of promotion. And Rachel, he would let her see the ruin she had helped create. She would watch it all burn. He smiled, a cold, thin smile. Let them feel what he had felt. Let them taste betrayal. It was time. Ethan moved carefully, like a man with nothing left to lose. He kept his head down at work, but every spare moment was spent crafting his masterpiece of retribution. He watched Michael, how he laughed too loud in meetings, how he bragged about his new car, a car paid for with stolen money. Ethan documented it all, each transaction, each lie. Vanessa avoided him now, her eyes darting away whenever he entered the room. She could feel the cold edge of his anger, the inevitability of what was coming. Rachel, she was a ghost in his life. Her things were still at their house, but she hadn't come to collect them. Ethan didn't care. Let her see the hollow spaces she had left behind. He was methodical, patient. Each step in his plan was a thread, weaving a web that would catch them all. One night, Ethan found himself standing outside Michael's house. The lights were on, laughter spilling through the windows. He could see Rachel inside, her face pale, her smile brittle. He clenched his fists, fighting the urge to storm in and drag them both out into the cold night. But he wouldn't give in to rage. Not yet. Instead, he recorded everything. Photos, videos, proof of the life they had built on his shattered heart. As he walked away, he whispered to the darkness, soon. At work, the tension was a living thing. Ethan could see the cracks forming in Michael's perfect image. The rumors had started. Missing money, questionable deals. Vanessa's voice was tight with fear when she spoke to Michael now. One afternoon, Ethan cornered Michael in the hallway. You're slipping, he said quietly. Michael's smile faltered. What are you talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about, Ethan replied. And so will everyone else soon enough. Michael's eyes narrowed. Careful, Ethan. You don't want to make enemies you can't handle. Ethan smiled, the calm of a man with nothing left to lose. I'm counting on it. Rachel finally came to the house. She stood in the doorway, her eyes red-rimmed, her shoulders slumped. Ethan, she said softly. I'm sorry. He didn't move. I know. I didn't mean for any of this to happen, she said, tears slipping down her cheeks. But it did, he said. And now it's too late to take it back. She reached for him, but he stepped back. Don't. I still love you, she whispered. He shook his head. You loved the idea of me. The man who trusted you, who would have done anything for you. But that man doesn't exist anymore. She sobbed, crumpling to the floor. He watched her, his heart a stone in his chest. The final pieces fell into place. Ethan compiled the documents, the evidence of fraud and betrayal. He prepared anonymous tips for the authorities, sent them to journalists who would love a scandal like this. The day he sent the files, he felt a calm he hadn't known in months. The weight of it all lifted, replaced by a cold, cleansing purpose. He watched Michael at work, the way his laughter seemed forced, his shoulders hunched as if he could feel the walls closing in. Vanessa wouldn't meet his eyes at all. And Rachel, she was gone. She had taken her things in the dead of night, leaving only a note, I'm sorry. Ethan read it once, then tore it up. Sorry meant nothing now. It was done. The fallout was swift and merciless. News of the scandal broke in the morning, splashed across headlines and whispered in boardrooms. Ethan watched from his office as Michael was called into a meeting he wouldn't return from. Vanessa tried to reach him, her calls and messages desperate. But Ethan let them ring out, a cruel satisfaction filling the hollow space where his heart used to be. Rachel sent one last message. Why, Ethan? Why do this? He didn't answer. She didn't deserve an explanation. Michael's face was everywhere, on news sites, social media, even the local evening news. The confident man Ethan had once called a friend was now a symbol of corporate greed and betrayal. Vanessa was exposed too, her complicity laid bare for everyone to see. She tried to deny it, to spin it as a misunderstanding, but the evidence was irrefutable. At work, Ethan was quiet, calm. His colleagues gave him a wide berth, as if they could feel the storm still raging inside him. Michael tried to salvage what was left, but the walls were crumbling. He called Ethan late one night, his voice a mixture of rage and desperation. You think you've won? Michael snarled. You've ruined everything. Ethan's voice was cold, detached. No, Michael. You ruined it all yourself. Michael's breathing was ragged. I trusted you. And I trusted you, Ethan said. We both learned the hard way. The line went dead. Ethan felt nothing. Rachel showed up at his door one last time. She looked older, worn down by the weight of their choices. I lost everything, she said, her voice a ghost. Was it worth it? Ethan stared at her, the woman he had once loved, the stranger she had become. It was never about worth, he said quietly. It was about the truth. She reached for his hand, but he pulled away. Goodbye, Rachel. She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. Goodbye. The weeks that followed were a blur of headlines and hushed conversations. Michael resigned in disgrace. Vanessa was fired. Rachel moved back to her parents' house in another state. Ethan watched it all from the sidelines, a man who had burned his own life down to the foundation. And in the silence that followed, he found a strange peace. The ghosts of betrayal still lingered, but they no longer haunted him. The story was over. And he was still standing. Ethan settled into the quiet that followed. He spent his days working, his nights alone. The city outside his window moved on, oblivious to the war that had raged and ended in his soul. He didn't miss Rachel, or Michael, or Vanessa. He missed the man he used to be, the one who believed in loyalty, in friendship, in love. But that man was gone, and Ethan had accepted it. Some nights he lay awake, listening to the wind against the glass. In those moments, he felt the cold weight of what he'd done, but he never regretted it. The memories came in flashes, Rachel's laughter, Michael's easy charm, Vanessa's bright smile. Ghosts of the past, flickering at the edges of his mind. He didn't chase them away. They were part of him now, scars that would never fully heal. Sometimes he wondered if they thought of him, if they remembered the man who had once trusted them without question. He doubted it. Betrayal had a way of rewriting history. One rainy afternoon, Ethan ran into Vanessa in the city. She looked tired, her eyes haunted. Ethan, she said softly, her voice brittle. I didn't know you'd be here. I live here, he said simply. She looked away. I lost everything. I know. I'm sorry, she said, tears in her eyes. For everything. He studied her for a moment, then nodded. I know. She turned and walked away, and he watched her go, the rain washing away the past. Ethan visited the place where it had all begun, the little bar where he and Michael had first met. It was almost empty now, the laughter and warmth replaced by quiet music and the clink of glasses. He sat at the bar, ordered a drink, and let the memories wash over him. The ghosts sat with him, silent companions in the dim light. He didn't stay long. When he left, he felt lighter, as if he had finally laid the past to rest. Spring came early that year, the city alive with color and light. Ethan felt something stir in his chest, a quiet hope, fragile but real. He knew he would never be the same, that the scars of betrayal would always be there. But he also knew he had survived. He walked the streets with his head high, the weight of the past no longer pulling him down. There would be new friendships, new trust. And maybe, someday, new love. For now, that was enough. The end.